It's dark right now where I am. I think you might be able to just see a window in the background.
I see your kitchen.
Yeah, this is a mirror behind me, and it reflects into the kitchen. And then there's a window at the bottom. I tidied up.
We're live now.
Yeah, we are. I tidied up for the occasion. So, yeah, what I wanted to talk about was your ideas on the electric flat Earth and how that works. And if you can make it as simple as possible so that someone like me can understand it.
Okay. So the Earth is a flat plane, right? And so we have this flat plane, and there is 300 million volts of electric potential, and scientists don't know where it comes from. So we came up with our hypothesis of the electric flat Earth hypothesis, and basically we take the electric universe theory and then we added it to flat Earth theory. So now we get this hybridization of these two worlds, and it works so much better than either one. Because the electric universe theory is a heliocentric universe.
Yeah.
With all the fake space and everything. And it's actually very comical to watch the electric universe theory guys, because they're so close to being right, but they're just all wrong because of their views of the universe.
And have they still got the Earth as a ball as well?
Right.
Okay.
And the Earth revolves around the suns in their model.
So they're still doing all that, but they've got the electric bit right in your view.
Yeah.
I think everything on a flat plane makes more sense. I mean, when you think about the way we need to live and the way everything's done, we make everything as flat as possible first. To build a house, we need tabletops are flat. When you get down to simple things, everything needs to be flat to some degree. And the whole thing being on a spinning ball is, I think, done deliberately to confuse you, because you're always spinning, you're on an angle, you're going one way, you're going around the sun, this way so fast, and the moon's going around you, and you can never get a handle in your mind on where you are, in the universe like that. That's how I feel about it anyway. And it didn't take me long to make the leap to flat Earth. But I know you really tried to debunk it, didn't you?
Yeah, I tried to. I thought it was actually kind of silly. And actually, a couple years ago, I was talking to my friend Kristen, and I said, I showed her this video, and I said, "Look, people still think the Earth is flat." And
do you remember which video it was?
No, I don't. It was just a corny short video, actually kind of making fun of flat earthers, but they were just saying that, like, that only less than 1% of the astronauts actually have been to space. How do you know that the Earth is not flat?
Yeah.
What if every single picture of from NASA is fake? That's what it said, amongst other things. But I never actually investigated it from there.
But could you see at the time the pictures looked kind of fake, but didn't really take it in?
No, I couldn't tell because I didn't look.
Okay.
But now that I am looking, I see the fakery everywhere, and
yeah, it's got ridiculous.
Yeah, it's getting worse.
And I feel like they're almost doing that on purpose. Like maybe they want everybody to realise that they've been lied to, so that there'll be some kind of chaos, and then they can bring about their order. Then, so,
Yeah, maybe that is part of the psyop. But as I heard that people are saying that flat Earth theory is how could it be true? But if you try to debunk it, you just can't.
no, you just everything that you come across just makes more sense on a flat plane.
Yeah,
Uh,
and
Gravity becomes a bit of a joke as well.
what's a joke?
Gravity becomes a joke when you're looking into it.
Yeah, it does. Um, One of my friends on Facebook, Darrell, he's a astro photographer, professional one. He's got all this equipment and stuff, and he's thoroughly convinced that he can debunk the flat Earth, you know. But I destroy him in all of our conversations. He has no answer to some of the things I ask him.
It must be strange for people like that, though. I met some astronomers at the weekend at a festival, and they believe that the sun is 93 million miles away, and they're sure that the stars are billions of miles away and stuff. But to me, if you think of it logically, how could you even see something that was 93 million miles away? I mean, they tell us that it's so huge, but it just all sounds like fairy tales when you say it out loud to yourself.
Oh, I always think of a Doctor Evil when he goes 300 or like $100 million.
Yeah,
So it's like 93 million miles.
yeah.
That's what I think about
I,
that,
I was actually
because it
talking.
is ridiculous.
Sorry,
What?
you go. What was you saying?
Okay, so the sun is supposed to be what, 150 million miles wide or something?
Hmm?
Let's check the diameter of the sun real quick. I forgot it.
Yeah, you'll have
1
to.
million 1 million kilometers.
1 million kilometers wide.
So let's see, let's convert that km to miles. That's a kind of a round number, isn't it?
Yeah, they're all kind of round numbers. $100 kilometers.
It is six 621,371.192 miles. So
And how do they say the sun works? Well, because that does that's different to how you think it works in the electric.
they say
Whatever.
that the sun is a fusion reactor that is powered by gravity.
Oh no! Oh dear. So
So the sheer gravity inside the star compresses the atoms, the hydrogen atoms, fuses them into helium. That's the output. But then you got the heat, the tremendous heat, and all these solar flares that you can't actually see ever, and coronal mass ejections that you could never see with your own eyes.
do you think this
So,
people that write this were stoned at the time?
well, I think that a lot of the science fiction people, at NASA or whatever or at colleges, they are actually working with a secret society called the Dawn of the Golden the Golden Dawn,
The Golden Dawn.
the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn.
Okay.
And there is a bunch of historical science fiction writers that actually were members, like Jules Verne and H.G. Wells. They were members of the Golden Dawn as well. So I think that a lot of this science fiction actually comes from the Golden Dawn.
And it is literally science fiction.
It is.
If you look at it that way. So this secret group, the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, what kind of stuff are they into then? Is it?
They're into magic and rituals, and they're pretty dark. They're related to the Nazis and the Thule Society.
Yeah, the Thule Society.
And the Order of the Black Sun.
And what do you think the Black Sun is? Like, because there's quite a bit of writings on the Black Sun. Do you
So I think that the Black Sun is what actually causes the lunar eclipse.
Yeah.
And it's a sun like our sun, but it emits a light that is not on the vibration which we can see.
Yeah, it's outside of our downward vision.
But it's there, and it blocks it gets in the way of the moon, and we see the moonlight as being red. So it's just like a solar eclipse, but it's just that that black sun is in front of the moon, because these two bodies, or at least that body, is transparent, and that's why it turns red. Because, and if you read Rowbotham's Zeditic Astronomy, that book, he talks about that it has to be something. Either the light is passing through something, because it turns red. It's not a shadow. They say it's a shadow, but how could it be a shadow when it's red?
Yeah, and isn't it supposed to be our shadow, the shadow of the Earth?
Well, that's what the heliocentric scientists say, that it's our shadow, but there's no evidence of that.
Yeah, no, I don't think. I think that theory of the black sun, what you just said, makes more sense to me. And how go on.
The ancients knew about the black sun too. That's why they had the black sun, and the Norse pagans knew about it. There's lots of black sun symbology. You can look that up too. It's pretty cool.
So this order, they know about it.
Yeah.
Presumably, and they keep it from us. How does the sun work in the electric universe?
Okay, so the sun is like a light bulb. It's filled with gas. Thomas thinks that it's halogen gas, and so it works wirelessly. It's powered wirelessly by the Earth, actually, and so that's where this 300 million volt potential comes in. So it's up in the sky, 33 miles wide, about 300 miles or perhaps 1,000 miles up there, and just about that. And then it works like a Tesla coil.
Okay.
So you can hold the light bulb up to a Tesla coil, and the light bulb will turn on without any wires, without plugging it into a socket.
Yes, you don't need another connection.
Right.
It's completely wireless.
And there might be some type of quantum locking that actually holds the sun up on its orbit.
Yeah. Well, I've seen a video on YouTube about, I can't remember what it was called now, that I think would support that theory. It's of, I think it's dry ice, and it's running around the track, but it's being like repelled up off the track.
Okay, so that's a
it never
it's
loses
a
position.
it's a super cool magnet,
Okay.
and they cool it down to almost absolute zero, and then they can put mercury on it, and then the mercury will start conducting electricity out of nowhere.
Okay. So, I mean, that's really interesting, and that they can harness this free energy is basically what it is. But we're all paying electric bills and sticking plugs into walls and things.
Yeah.
So what I mean is, if they know that they can harness this free energy, and we could all have free energy, but instead it's kept within a system where we have to work to pay for our electricity, or we can just be cold or.
Yeah. So the electric universe is really a threat to them because they want to charge everybody. You can't put a meter on free energy.
No.
So, and this energy is all around us. So all you have to do is harness it.
And do you know?
Nikola Tesla, he invented a solar panel that collects the sunlight at night.
That's amazing.
So, in the flat Earth theory, the sun is always over the Earth.
Yeah, we're never facing away from it ever.
Yeah. So that's why I think Nikola Tesla was actually a flat earther.
Yeah, it would be interesting.
How could you get the sunlight from the sun when it's on the other side of the Earth?
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that.
Unless he thought it was being bounced off the moon.
No.
No, he was too smart for that.
It's not enough. And we know that the moon is not a reflector. It's a luminary.
Yeah, I think the moon is very interesting. I work nights, and I'm out every night, so I see the moon every night, and I think it's amazing. But like the sun's always in the same position of the sky each day. At 12 o'clock, it's going to be overhead every day at noon. But the moon moves slower or seems to move slower. Like if I go out at midnight every night, the moon will be a few degrees to the east, and it'll take a couple of hours for it to get in the same position as it was the previous night. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
I don't know exactly how long a lunar day is. Let's check. So you asked a good question.
we're on 24 hours. The sun, I think it's about 27 or 28.
I was thinking 36 hours.
I think I saw it in one of Mark Wright's blogs. It's good that you're good with computers because you can check things while we're talking. Because if I turn you off now, I'll never get the bloody page back. I'm useless.
Yeah, you don't want to do that because you'll lose us. You lose the hangout. Okay, so the lunar day is about a month. It takes a month to orbit the Earth.
Oh, lunar day, yeah. So it takes a
Okay.
month for. Oh, sorry, a lunar day is a month.
Right.
Is that what you? Okay.
Because it takes a month for it to go over our head, like from noon to noon.
Right. Got you. Yeah, because it's at different positions in the sky uh, every day. It starts off quite low, and then as the month progresses, it gets higher in the sky also. So that makes sense.
Right.
I think the sun and the moon share energy somehow. Like, I don't know if the moon is chasing the sun around this track and trying to absorb some of its energy, and that's where the lunar phases come from. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
How do you think that works?
So the moon is part of the circuit, of the Tesla coil. It's the negative side,
Okay.
and then the sun is the positive side. This is why the moon has a different type of light than the sun. So experiments have been done, and they have proved that the moonlight actually cools about 3 degrees less than the shade.
Yep.
Ashley Webster did an experiment on that. You can check her out on YouTube.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've got a hangout with Ashley. She's lovely to talk to, actually.
Okay, that was mostly probably for the viewers. Because remember, not everybody watching this is just gonna know who Ashley is.
Yeah. So go check her out, Ashley Webster, YouTube. No, and that was also an interesting experiment that she did with the salt water. Does that support the electric flat earth as well?
Yes, it does. But what was her experiment with the salt water?
So, she was basically saying that, I'm just going from memory here, that water is a natural diametric or diamagnetic or
Dielectric.
something like that.
Okay.
I'll have to look it up. Diamagnetic, maybe. And she put a magnet in or she put something in the water, and then when she put a magnet near it, it repelled it and it moved away. And the more salt that there was in the water, the stronger this effect was.
Okay, so that is basically how the tides work.
Yeah.
Because there's not gravity. It's the electromagnetic force that actually causes the tides. Because the water is salt water in the ocean. This is why it doesn't really affect fresh water, because it's not electrodynamic.
Yeah.
Because it has the salt in there for a conduction.
So that's why the oceans have the tides and the ebb and flow, because they're full of salt water. What about, like, have you looked into like the Dead Sea? It's just full of salt, and how that works.
What about it?
Well, I just wondered if you'd looked into its tidal motion, because that's so full of salt that you can't actually sink in it.
Yeah.
I wondered if if that had greater tides than other oceans. Because where I live, we don't have hardly any tide whatsoever. I mean, it's only a small body of water between the south of Sweden and Copenhagen, but it's connected to the Baltic Sea in one direction and the North Sea in the other direction, and they're both pretty.
Yeah, I think the greater the mass of water makes the tide greater.
Yeah.
So you have to look at the square mileage of the mass of water. And like the Black Sea is not very big. It's like a lake.
Right.
I don't actually know if there is a tide there.
I'm gonna check it out.
My prediction is it won't. So, but you can check.
What about the salt beds then? You know, like the salt flats. Well, they're obviously flat, but what about how do you think they got there? You think that, I mean, they're just old oceans that dried up?
Well, they're like lakes, yeah.
Or do you think that just
Salt lakes that dried up.
and do you think that they have any effect on the sun and the moon?
No, I think the sun and the moon affect things, not the other way around.
How do you mean? You think
The sun and the moon affect objects, or the earth. The earth doesn't affect the sun and the moon.
the sun and the moon affect the earth?
Yeah, as far as cause and effect,
Yeah. Okay.
because they're just they're massive. Well, so is the earth the most massive thing, but the only thing it does is I that I can think of is that it provides electricity to the luminaries,
Mm.
and this energy is infinite. It never goes down, and you can see it. I mean, it's lightning, you know.
And
And you can what?
you can harness it.
Yeah.
You know what I was going to ask you? You know these secret orders and stuff, and they're all into magic. And do you see magic as just harnessing energy, like, and being able to manipulate energy?
Well, that's what magic is. It's the manipulation of energy,
Or,
and
or
they do that. They do that with spells, and the spells go out into the ether, and then changes the coding of it. So I think we're basically like in the Matrix, kind of.
yeah, it can directly affect our reality.
Right. Oh, and I wanted to talk about the Mandela effect a little bit.
Okay, go on.
So that's like one of the most interesting things of my research now is first it started with the Berenstain Bears, and I totally remember it being Berenstain growing up in school and doing like book reports and reading about them, you know, reading the Berenstain Bears or whatever. And now it's Berenstain, Bernstein.
So they've changed the spelling of the name.
Well, not exactly. They didn't change it. It's been changed. Like it never was Berenstain in this reality. It's like a glitch in the Matrix.
Okay, that's a bit mental. That's just thrown my head a bit left. So
So now I didn't watch the video, but my friend Sam Peters, he posted a video about Star Wars, and you know when Darth Vader says, "Luke, I am your father," now it's changed to "I am your father," and everybody knows that it was Luke, "I am your father," because everybody did that. Everybody did that, you know, to copy it. So how could it be changed, you know, if we're in the same reality?
if you watch the movie now, it says, what does it say?
No, I am your father.
No, I am your father.
Yeah.
Luke, I am your father. I wasn't even into Star Wars, and I remember Luke, I was your father.
Yeah. So
So this is called the Mandela Effect, and it's like glitches in our timeline.
either in our timeline or just in our realm, basically, because what if it's the same timeline? It's just glitched out, like in the Matrix.
Mm.
You know, like when Neo was when they went into the Matrix, and then he saw that cat, and then
Yeah,
he saw it again, and then he said, "I deja vu, I got deja vu," and then she said, "What did you see?" And he said, "I saw a cat." And then I saw the same cat. Was it exactly the same cat or a different one? Are you sure? And then he said, "Well, that's a glitch in the Matrix." And then they knew that the agents were there.
yeah, and then they're in. I just watched The Matrix again the other day. I think it's one of those movies you can just watch it over and over. But it's been a few years since I last saw it.
Yeah, so just pay attention to things that you know, and movies or books or whatever, and definitely, I think it was changed from definitely to definitely because for
Well,
I think it was last year I kept on trying to spell it, and then it kept telling me it was wrong. You know,
I definitely. So now it's saying it's definitely with an I.
yeah.
I'm a bad one to ask on that though, because I'm awful
How
at
do you remember it?
definitely with an A, definitely.
You remember it definitely?
Yeah, but I didn't pronounce it like that. I pronounced it definitely.
Yeah, but it was Definiely.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Now it's with an I. And I remember my post, my friend made a post about it last year, and then she said, "Why is everybody spelling definitely, or definitely?" And um, she made a post about it because she's a word person, you know. Um,
All those people that can break down language.
so this is the thing: people remember that the new, the new spelling, or they remember the new Berenstain Bears, or
Yeah.
they remember. Um, there's also another one. Interview with a Vampire was changed to Interview with the Vampire.
No,
No, what?
I don't believe you. it's not
Look it
called.
up.
It's not called Interview with the Vampire. It's called Interview with the Vampire. If
It
that
was Interview with a Vampire.
if that's changed, I'm going to have to look that up. If that's changed
It,
there,
now it's Interview with the Vampire.
that's crazy. When I was about 17, I actually started having panic attacks because of what was like a glitch. I had a blouse and I had a pocket on the left side, and I used to put my bus ticket in. And then one day I was crossing the road to get the bus, and I went in the left side to get the bus ticket, and the pocket was on the right, and that freaked me
Really?
out. That triggered like panic attacks for like a good 12 months.
Really?
Yeah,
That's crazy.
it was the Mandela effect. I've not really heard about that until just now. And that's really interesting.
Oh, you didn't hear about it before I told you?
No, no, I just thought I was going crazy
Oh,
and
okay. Yeah, it's a
realized
glitch.
a glitch. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to show you this picture. Tell me when you can see it. Like, can you read the words?
Okay, hang on.
Oh,
No, no. I can only just see it. I can't read what it says. Oh yeah. Oh, interview with
a vampire.
fire.
And then now the case says interview with the vampire. So what this is a my friend got the collector's edition with the signed plaque, and
Yeah.
it says interview with a vampire on this thing, but on the case it was changed to interview with the vampire.
Yeah, because I went to that movie and it was definitely a vampire. So things are being changed somehow. Or not that they're being changed. They've never been changed.
They've never been changed, but um, they're being changed to us, but our memory stays the same.
Yeah. Oh, that's crazy. There must
So
be.
you looked at your shirt that had the pocket on the left,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden it was on the right.
Yeah.
Were you wearing it when it changed?
I was wearing it. I'd put a bus ticket in it that morning.
A what?
A bus ticket.
What's that?
You know, like a bus ticket when you take a ride on a bus and you take a ticket from the conductor.
Oh, okay. We just call it a bus ticket.
Actually, that's what I was saying, but maybe my English is a bit
Oh
bad.
yeah, you're English. That's all right.
So that
You're
morning,
English, and I just speak English.
that morning, I put it in the left pocket, and the pocket was on the left. It had always been on the left. And then in the afternoon, I was crossing the road, and the bus was even coming, so I was rushing, and I went to take the ticket out of the left pocket, and there was no left pocket. It was on the right. And I thought I was going crazy. I started to have panic attacks after that for ages.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was you experienced a Mandela effect.
That sounds like it.
And when was that?
Oh, about, well, I'm old, so it was about 15, 17 years ago.
Okay, so they were still using CERN back then, the Large Hadron Collider.
Okay.
So I think that the Large Hadron Collider might have something to do with it, because think about what they're doing. Okay, they're taking a like 2 million volts of electricity and spinning it around in a circle. Okay, at the speed of light.
Mhm.
So this has the potential of actually altering our world.
It's like when Superman flew backwards around the world really fast, and he altered that timeline, to save, what's her name? You know what I'm talking about?
Say that again.
Like when Superman flew backwards around the world really, really fast, so that
Oh,
he,
to go back in time.
yeah. So it's kind of, they were already planting ideas back then that they could change timelines in that way.
Yeah. So I think that's like a hint. Also, there's a those Illuminati cards.
Mm,
There's a one of them that is time that says it's a time shift.
okay.
I have a picture of it, but I don't need to show you on here. But I just thought the interview with the vampire one was pretty crazy, so I showed you that.
Definitely.
Time warp is the Illuminati card.
Time Walk. I'll look it up. Time Walk.
And there's also an episode of The Simpsons where they showed Mars reading a Berenstain Bears book with an E. spelled with an E. You probably don't remember the books, do you?
I just don't think they were that popular over here, but I do recognise the name.
Okay. Do you remember it being Berenstein or Berenstain?
Bernstein.
It's got that name that just sticks out, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you could look at the old books, the very first ones, and they're Berenstain now. And even the authors' names were changed to Berenstain. And somebody even said that their first names were changed, but I don't remember their first names. So
Do you think that some people remember more than others? Like some people notice more than others?
yeah, like my mom, she didn't remember if it was Berenstain or Berenstain. And she also said it was Interview with the Vampire.
Okay, so some people don't.
Some people are in this reality. Um, Either they were already in this one when we shifted into it, or their memories were altered too.
Like on, I'm gonna quote another movie that I can't remember the name of. That Will Smith movie, the one with the aliens and is that the memory?
Independence Day.
No, the other one. The the Men in Black,
Oh, okay.
and they zap the memory, you know. And
Yeah, they wipe the memory with the neuralizer.
yeah, that could be happening to people, like on a mass scale.
Right. But also the prints of these books and movie titles are changed, like in your own home, and at the library, everywhere. I don't think that they're going around and stealing these books and replacing them. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, um, you just walked into that reality. You can't really explain it. Maybe it's because I don't understand it.
Well, yeah. I don't think any of us really understand it, but
It's crazy.
basically we shifted into this reality, and some people have not. It's kind of weird.
Definitely. Um, the group on Facebook that you have, the debate group, flat Earth versus globe Earth.
Spherical.
Spherical. Thank you. I'm on there every day and I can't even remember the name. It's the only debate group, isn't it? I mean, there's plenty of flat Earth groups that have come along now that are strictly for flat Earthers. And
Well, there's a couple new ones. There's the the Earth versus flat Earth tards or something. Globe heads versus flat Earth tards.
okay.
It's basically like a Chinese knockoff trying to make fun of flat Earthers, but it's ran by shills.
Right, I thought that was a joke. I did see it advertised. I just thought someone was taking the piss.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say is, it is important to have the debate. Like, you can't just expect everyone just to start thinking, oh, it's a flat Earth, and then start, and then all go and join private groups. It's nice being in a private group and whatnot, but there does need to be a debate.
The debate, I think, is important.
I think the fact that people are even coming to the debate is pretty amazing, really.
Yeah, yeah.
I think
they're challenging their beliefs, even if they don't know it, because they might run into some evidence that is so strong that they can't deny it. And actually, many of the globe Earthers came in. We call them globe heads. But they came in and actually converted to flat earthers because they couldn't deny the evidence.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty good because they're not they're open minded, you know.
Yeah, and they let themselves have their mind changed. Like some people are just so set in the ways that it doesn't matter what evidence you show them, they want to protect the lie that they know rather than the truth that they don't know.
Right. The cognitive dissonance.
Yeah, it's strong in some people. And um I don't know what I've lost my train of thought. But yeah, that is strong. The programming, yeah. I never realised how deeply it actually went, and until I started um, getting into the flat Earth research side of things. I never realised how deep that programming went. I mean, if you want to create an instant spasm in somebody, you just need to bring up the flat Earth, or say the sun revolves around the Earth, or just anything, and they just have a toxic reaction to it.
Yeah.
Like people think that you're actually losing your mind.
For like a couple weeks after that, it was kind of weird going outside because I could see the world differently through different eyes.
Yeah,
The sun looked smaller than it was,
hmm
and I could see that the sun moved around the earth and not the earth moved around the sun.
yeah. You can watch it. It's great.
Yeah.
Uh, um, you just realise how flat everything is. When you look at still water and things. I I find when I look at the sky, is I, when everything seems flat to me, because the sky to me just looks like it's laid out flat like this. Don't know.
Yeah, it is. But you can see it looks round because it's an illusion. But if you know about perspective, then you will see that all the clouds of the same type are all in the same altitude.
Yeah,
You know, because they are. So like if you see the clouds from your angle, they look like they're curved, but it's actually a curve of the angle. So like you got the angle curving, you know.
yeah,
Your your eyes, your vision, you look up, and then you look further, and then that's an angle. You know, it's all just perspective and angles. So when I look at the sky, I see it all like as a flat. It's flat, you know.
I think it's great.
And
It,
that's why the stars look like they're on a globe or something. But some people think it's the dome, but I don't believe in a dome. That's another part of the electric flat Earth universe is that there's no dome.
okay, I didn't know that there definitely wasn't one in the electric flat Earth universe. I don't lean towards the dome. I always saw it as flat and stacked. Maybe different dimensions, different environments. Like
So,
um,
what was your question going to be?
no, I was just gonna say, but I did like Mark Knight's last documentary. I don't know if you saw it. It's and he talks about the meteorites and the things. There's some interesting facts about meteorites. Um, and some people think that is evidence of a dome. But
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think it's evidence of a dome. I mean, they could be coming from anywhere.
Yeah, I think that the dome is actually pretty hard to have meteorites be part of the theory
Mm,
myself, because what is breaking the dome off,
yeah. And then
and
at some
why
point,
is
there's a big hole in it at some point.
I mean, why would there be a glass dome above us? I mean, glass is very heavy,
Mm.
and
And, and some people think like a dome, you know, definitely means there's a creator. But I just think of the flat Earth in itself that tells you there's a creator. I don't think you need a dome to tell you that there's a creator. I don't
yeah.
know. How do you feel about that?
Well, the sun and the moon is an example of being a creator, because what created it? It's a machine. It's not natural. Like, it's not naturally created. You know, it's all a very divine, awesome machine that works so well. It
Yeah,
never fails.
yeah, nothing. I was going to say nothing ever goes wrong, but everything goes the way it should do. Is more accurate way to say it.
Well, about 500 years ago, they had like a something went wrong, and they said that the sun wasn't producing enough light, and there was a lot of people say that there was a volcanic eruption, or a comet hit the Earth or something, but I don't think it was a comet, obviously, because there's no space. Um, there's no space rocks, out there floating around, because
So,
Earth isn't a planet; it's a realm. Um, but I can totally see that it's a realm now. We're not on a planet,
and
and a lot of nature actually, I think, proves that we live in a realm, not a planet.
in what way?
Um, there's a lake um, near Crater Lake. Um, not Crater Lake, but near in Oregon, there was Mount St. Helens. Did you hear about that?
No.
This mountain exploded, volcano. The whole top of the mountain was blown off in this explosion. It was huge, um, and so like the whole mountain was changed. The whole top was blown off.
Wow. And
And there was a lake that was all the life in it was killed from this explosion and ash coming down. That it boiled the water and it killed everything in it.
wow. And how long ago was that?
It was about 30 years, 1980. So it was like 35 years ago.
Okay, so it wasn't that long ago. So this thing that went wrong 500 years ago, I
Okay,
mean,
but
you
okay,
think
so
that
so about this, let me finish the thing and then we'll go back to that. Um,
okay,
so Mount St. Helens, the lake, there was no life in it, and then all of a sudden, there was the scientists were watching the lake for signs of life, and then one day a rainbow trout just came out of nowhere, like it got generated. So
yeah,
all this life is just starting to come back, and they didn't do anything to put it there. It's just like reappearing. And then, have you heard about how sometimes animals will rain from the sky?
yeah,
Yeah, I think this is part of the realm thing. Like, new species are introduced from the sky. They just come down. Like the worms and the fish just come down. Frogs rain down, and there is no storm. They just fall out of nowhere.
Yeah, they just come into being, just like that. Do you think that's how we came into being? Like we just fell down from the sky?
I think that's probably how it works.
I think that's as good a theory as any. I think that, to be fair, I think, you know, just we just come into being. You know, it just happens.
Yeah.
You know,
So
go on.
so we can go back to what were we talking
The
about?
thing that went wrong 500 years ago.
Oh, okay, so the sun wasn't producing enough light.
Mm.
Um, and so they said that it was like it was only like daylight for like 2 or 3 hours when the sun was directly overhead noon for like 2 or 3 hours, you know. And then it was so dim, and they didn't know why, and it got really cold for like, I don't know, it was like 3 years that the sun was like this. But I think it might be part of a cycle, and this cycle might be coming up pretty soon because the scientists are talking about it, like the solar minimum. You know,
Yeah.
have you heard about that?
But, no, but I can imagine what happens during it. So a solar minimal, that's what they're calling it.
Yeah. So it it's like the sun is not going to be producing enough energy. Like maybe it's doing some type of maintenance cycle or something because it is a machine.
So and it lasts about 3 years, and then it kicks in again.
Yeah. And they never stated anything about there being ash in the air or anything like that obscuring the sun.
Yeah,
They
like
never said anything about that, and that's what people are assuming it was. But you can't assume in science; it doesn't work that way.
no.
You have to actually find a reason for the cause.
Yeah, we just have to go with the facts, like things where we know
And the
that.
only thing we have to go with is these old writings, you know, and people that weren't very smart. But
Are
at
you
least they
saying
knew
that
the world was flat, right?
exactly? I was just going to say, you're saying that these people were silly, but so basically the sun goes dark for a while, and we don't get enough energy from the sun. And do you think it's like a reset? Maybe part
Yeah,
of a reset that happens.
yeah. I think it's part of a cycle, so it just comes back to normal, and possibly if it didn't do that, then maybe the sun would break down and actually die, and we wouldn't want that because we would die too.
Yeah, we need the sun. I always found it interesting how really early on in my life, I was taught how important the sun is and how much we need the sun, and then around 8 or 9 years old, things started to change, and then the sun's dangerous, and it makes you sick, and it gives you cancer, and you have to wear a hat and keep your eyes covered, and you have to wear factor 50 sunscreen, blah blah blah. Um, and I think that's all bullshit. You know, I
It
think
is because we need the sun.
yeah, we need the sun. There wouldn't be any life without the sun, or not as we know it. Anyway, quote unquote. Kirky.
So about the Mandela effect, also the reason why it's called the Mandela effect is because the first people noticed that Nelson Mandela died in 1980 in prison. Okay, and
Okay.
then and then he got out of prison, and then he died again. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
It does?
yeah, but I
No,
don't
no,
remember.
no.
I
Listen to
don't
what I said.
remember dying.
He died in prison in 1980, and then he got out of prison, and
I
then he
remember,
died in 2013.
yeah,
Does that make any sense? How could you die twice?
it makes sense to me now. I know about the Mandela effect,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
I definitely don't remember him dying the first time. I remember him getting out of prison, and I remember him dying the second time. So maybe I only walked. Maybe I either had my
Were you alive in 1980?
yeah I was only a baby. Yeah, I was born in '79. So
Okay,
that's
so
I wouldn't remember it.
you
Yeah,
wouldn't remember it. Yeah.
no, I'm really bad with dates and stuff. Dates and time.
Okay, so that's what happened is people remember him dying, and then in prison, and then he got out of prison. Wait a minute, I thought he already died. It doesn't make sense. And then um, Billy Graham, the televangelist, have you heard of him?
Yeah,
He died in 2012,
in the freezer.
but if you go look on the internet, you cannot find one article about his death, one official article or something saying that he died, or and Wikipedia says he's still alive. He's 96.
Wow.
But I found one article that says that he died of Alzheimer's complications, but that's from somebody's memory. That's not an official article. So that, like I said, it affects our memories, but it doesn't affect history. I mean, it doesn't affect our memories, but it affects history, like the documentations.
It's really. Have you seen the film The Adjustment Bureau?
What film?
I think it's called The Adjustment Bureau.
The Adjustment Bureau?
Yeah.
No, I haven't.
It, it kind of reminds me of that, like these people, these agents, they have the ability to walk into different timelines and alter things and then move on to different timelines.
That sounds like a little bit like what's going on, and maybe they do this to. What I was thinking is the reason for this to happen is maybe they needed a marker to tell what world they're in. So, like, if they could look at a Berenstein Bears book, maybe they carry it with them, you know,
Yeah,
and they just look at it and they say, okay, I'm in this one, or I'm in that one.
like yeah. So they have like either small things like that where they've altered like little things, or they could also affect the big things. You know, like the catastrophes, so to speak. They could be markers. But actually, no, that doesn't sound very good because that's not subtle enough, is it? No, it's just a catastrophe to us, but it could be a marker to them, I suppose.
Yeah.
Now you, now my head's going round and round now with this.
So, did you want to talk about flat Earth some more?
Yeah, so if like the way most people are agreed that it's flat to some extent, you know, there's definitely no curvature. It's not a ball. There are, you know, mountains and valleys and landscapes, you know, natural forming landscapes, but it's essentially flat, um, with what we call the North Pole in the centre, and then the continents that we know of kind of anchored around the North Pole
Yeah.
that way.
So, if you ever done any like mapping, 3D mapping, or like in a video game like The the Sims, Sim City, or
No,
anything like that.
no.
You start out with a flat plane, and then you build mountains and valleys and stuff like that. So it's all flat until you get mountains and valleys
Okay.
and hills. That's basically what it is. And that also kind of supports the theory that we're in an electric um, digital universe. So there's no way to tell if what is actually substantial or real, because atoms break down to energy and vibration and frequency. So that's what everything is basically energy or light.
It,
So there's no way to prove that we're even here, if
no,
that
and
makes
that's
sense.
yeah, it makes sense. It's a complete mind fuck, really. Sorry for swearing, but when you talk about it like that, that does make sense to me. Anyway, I feel that everything is vibration and sound, and everything's held together that way. Like different frequencies will hold things together in different ways, and I mean, I I saw a guy. I don't know if he was put in prison or he was definitely hounded by the officials, the authorities. Um, he was doing some experiments in his basement and like making things float, changing the form of metal and things.
Oh, Hutchinson.
Okay, yeah. So
They call that the Hutchison effect.
okay, so I mean that I definitely feel like it's all vibrational anyway.
Yeah.
But I do. Do you know, like you say, we can't prove that we're actually here. I don't think, only through personal experience. I think because I can tune into like my own frequency. That's what it feels like. When you're drifting off to sleep sometimes, and
Yeah.
I get like a loud noise in my ear, like someone like this, but faster, and I can feel it, and it can be really. It feels very powerful, and it can be very scary, but once you calm down and you get used to it, everything goes silent and everything stops, and at that point then you can like travel to different places. Like I sound like I'm off my head, but there have been times when I felt like I've just been like an atom just bouncing through like time and space, not space like NASA space, but do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or do I sound like a crazy woman?
Yeah, I kind of do. Like we all have our own vibration, so it's like our fingerprint, um, and we emit this electromagnetic frequency that is shaped like a torus, and the Earth also has an electromagnetic field, and it's shaped like a torus as well. And this is why, so the energy field, it rotates like this. Yeah, like this, west to east, like that, and
Okay.
then it goes up towards the North Pole, and then goes down, and then this is why the magnets always face north.
Yeah, because of this energy.
Yeah, and also it explains the northern lights, because, or the aurora borealis, or the aurora australis.
Yeah.
They, because the energy is going down in the center of the torus, and then on the near Antarctica and the outer Arctic rim, whatever they call it, it the energy is there too, so you get the southern lights. And a lot of people think that that is proof of the dome, I mean, or the globe, you know.
Yeah, because you've got two things happening in the apparent northern and southern hemispheres. People automatically think, oh, it was, that's proof of the globe. It happens in the north and it happens in the south, so it must be a globe. And
Yeah, they just don't understand it.
Yeah, they're just not thinking about it from a different perspective. So I've seen some pictures and some illustrations and things there, usually on your Facebook page, of the flat Earth and the primer fields. Now I can't say I understand how all that works, but maybe you could explain it a little bit.
The primer fields.
Hmm.
So, Earth may be suspended on where it is because of two primer fields holding it together in the inside, you know. But there's also evidence of a firmament. I'm not saying it's a dome, okay, but there actually may be fluid up there and fluid below, just like the Bible says,
Yeah.
which is actually kind of creepy to me.
I think that there's probably a lot of truths in the Bible, as well as a lot of coded stuff, and then a lot of bullshit that was just designed to mold people's minds so that they're easier to control.
Yeah.
So I think that there are some people that are really good at deciphering the matrix and language in particular, and seeing the spells that are cast in language.
And the etymology breakdown of certain words too.
Yeah, like I've heard some people say that language is actually
A spell.
yeah, a spell of that as well, but there's some people have said that it's like a brain virus, and by using language, the more you use language or something, the more it affects your brain in a negative way, and it stops you from being able to think properly because you can never actually articulate what it is you want to say fully. We're just all trained to in these certain sounds and stuff. So
You know Aleister Crowley?
yeah, not personally. Yeah,
Well, he's dead now, but
yeah.
he said that there's more power in words if you speak them backwards.
Mm.
And he used to listen to records all the time backwards. And he was a bit of a he was weird. Or
To say the least.
He was very different. But he would listen to music backwards, and he would write in backwards. He would write backwards.
He himself to write backwards as well. I thought he did that.
So he was really into that because the words, the English language is more powerful backwards because that's the way the spells are hidden phonetically.
Oh, and it's all about the phonetics and how things are sounded out.
Yeah, it's sound. And why do we say spelling?
Yeah.
Like spells.
Yeah.
And demonstration.
Yeah, that's a new one to me.
I mean, if you can notice certain things like that, like radio, radio,
Yeah,
Ra, the Egyptian sun god, and Dio means God in Italian. So you got two gods in the same word. And radio is one of the most powerful sounds we have. So basically, God's power is sound. And that's the way the energy is by God through the ether or the Father. So when you
yeah,
speak these spells, when they speak the spells, they are are sending this sound out to manipulate the energy via the ether, the ether.
yeah, by the ether. And wasn't it wasn't it Newton's job to not Newton, sorry, what's his name? The one that's always sticking his tongue out with the crazy hair. Einstein. Wasn't it Einstein's main role to destroy the idea of the ether?
Yeah, because he was, he's Jewish, and he was a fraud. He wasn't a genius. Um, he hung out with Jesuits and Freemasons, and basically every one of his theories is bullshit. I used to like him, but
Yeah,
as a kid and teenager,
yeah.
And then I started reading. As when I got older, I read his book about the special relativity theory, or
Mm.
the special theory of relativity. And I was looking at the equations. I was like, this is wrong. I couldn't tell what it was, but I knew it was wrong. You know,
Yeah,
because I don't know calculus very much. But if I look at the operations and look them up, I can tell where it was wrong.
see, now I wouldn't know because I can't do mathematics, but I I just go from instinct, and yeah, that guy's a liar and a fraud. And there's always those pictures of him sticking his tongue out at us, just like mocking us.
Yeah.
So they kind of put it in your face anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand
And
calculus. I've never studied calculus, and it just looks like bullshit to me. Um, but didn't Newton and another guy invent calculus to kind of
yeah,
support his theory of gravity?
yeah. But that is the only way he could make it work is if he made up his own equations and his own mathematics for it to work. Um, Before that, they had Euclidean math, which actually works better with the flat Earth than it does with the globe, because calculus you have gravity, and um, so a lot of these theories are required on gravity. So if gravity doesn't exist, then none of it is real, you know. And a lot of people wonder why. Okay, we are being attracted to the ground. If we go up high and we jump off a building, we're gonna fall and die.
Yeah,
Well, how is that not gravity? Well, it's all about how you define the force, because particles do not gravitate to one another. You know, you don't get two massive objects and then they smack into each other because they're attracted to each other. It doesn't work that way. Like, um, you can take objects that weigh several tons next to each other, and then they don't smack into each other. You can put them a millimeter away apart, and they will stay where they are.
mm.
You know.
Yeah. So they're not, the things aren't just drawn into each other, like in that way, in that sense. How would you describe the force of what would you call it then? Like,
Well, it's
gravity is just like a joke word.
yeah, there's only one fundamental force, and it's the electromagnetic force. So
Okay.
it pulls us down to the earth. It allows us to have electricity and magnetism, free energy, and all that. And then it also holds atoms together and molecules together. They say it's the weak and the strong force that hold that together, but it's all basically the electromagnetic force. And then mainstream scientists say that the electromagnetic force is a weak force, and gravity is another force, and it's weak too. But when you combine them, then you get the whole force. But it's just a bunch of science fiction bullshit.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Yeah, and
It's like in
so
life generally, the simple answer is usually the right answer. You know, when they start making things really complicated and talking in light years and long-winded mathematical equations, then they're just usually talking bullshit.
right. Yeah, so they say the sun's light gets here in 8 minutes. I think we feel it instantly.
We do feel the sun's heat instantly. Like you step out of the shade and you feel the sun instantly. It's not like you don't wait for 5 minutes before or 8 minutes to warm up. You know, it's just like it's an instant feeling. And how if the sun was 93 million miles away, how could it get here in 8 minutes? You know, like that whole Pluto crap. You know, they sent the what did they send to Pluto?
It was the Philae satellite.
So they sent that. It took 10 years to get there, but the second it went past Pluto, everyone back in the NASA office knew instantly. You know, and they're all clapping and cheering. And then, like I said, it took 10 years to get there, but they sent the picture back the same day.
Yeah,
And
and then they said that that they heard the sound of the singing comet. And did you hear about that?
no, I didn't.
Yeah, they said that it made a sound that the Philae satellite recorded, and if you go listen to it with headphones and turn it up, you can hear a distinct echo. And they did that in a studio,
No, I didn't.
whatever sound it was, because electromagnetism in space will not cause an echo, no matter what you do.
So
So the
do you
the
believe?
radio waves coming out of the comet would be constant and not echoing, because there's nothing to echo with out in space. Understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. So how how high do you think that? What do you think happens the higher we get? So like the
Well,
atmosphere.
it starts getting hot.
So it starts getting hot.
Yeah, it starts getting really hot, and then it gets hotter. Like, well, in the thermosphere, it gets about 3,600 degrees Fahrenheit, and I don't know the conversion for you, but that, and then titanium melts at 3,000 degrees. So there's no way satellites are real.
No.
And then if you look at the NASA website or the Wikipedia website, and it'll tell you an excuse for why satellites don't melt. It's funny. They say that the molecules, there's not enough air molecules for the heat to transfer up there, because there's not enough oxygen. I mean, there's very scarce oxygen levels up there.
So there's
Like
these.
if you went up there, you wouldn't be able to breathe. You'd die. So
Didn't
um,
didn't the Russians fly a few cosmonauts. Like, I don't know if they did it on purpose, but they tried to send some, see how high they could send them, and
Yeah, they
came back
died.
like
Like I
toast.
think it was like 5 or 6 of them,
Jeez.
and you can find a picture of one of them on the table, and it's just a fried barbecued person. You know,
Yeah, I think I've seen that actually.
just a torso, and you can see how hot they got. They were on fire,
Yeah,
and so I think the hotter it gets, and there's not enough oxygen, so and it's keeping us down here where it's safer, basically.
yeah.
And
Do you think that creates a pressure that keeps the ether um, fixed? You know, at the right height, or not the right height, but
well, the atmosphere, the livable atmosphere, keeps
yeah,
it right where we're comfortable. Um, I also found some evidence that there is no dome. Um, basically, the sun and the moon create a pressure, um, atmospheric pressure, and I think it's the sun that produces the positive pressure, and the moon actually pulls, and that's why you get the tide from the moon that pulls. But it's not gravity, that's for sure. So if all these satellites are in the sky and then they go past the moon, why don't they get altered the course from the moon and all kinds of stuff like that? It would just mess things up pretty
yeah.
bad.
It doesn't make any sense. Like, I'm sure these satellites would just be, if if the moon did have any gravitational pull, like say it did, the satellites would just be pulled to the moon, surely. Or am I talking shit?
Yeah. So
That's
so then
what.
you got so we got a bunch of heat in the thermosphere, and then there's the exosphere. It gets even hotter up there, and they don't even tell us how hot it gets
And
because I don't think they know, but it gets hotter.
that's what I was going to ask. Do you think they know how hot it is?
Yeah, I
How
don't think they can get that high.
how high do you think they can get, Darrell?
I don't think they can get anything past the thermosphere. So I think at about 80,000 feet, and things start going bad.
Yeah, things just seem to come back down once it gets that high. Um,
So,
but what do you think? How would you describe the firmament then?
so what I think it is that it's electromagnetic radiation, heat, and possibly up there, where there's even higher, where we can't get, that there is a superfluid up there, and it pushes back 2 times harder than if you tried to push on it, like with a spacecraft or whatever. That it'll be like a solid wall, but it's just fluid.
Okay, I can understand that. And
And
the, the what's his name? The English fella, Richard Branson. He's always trying to get things as high as possible, and I can't remember what that plane he had. But he kept trying to, seemed like it was bouncing off the upper atmosphere. Did you ever see that? Like
no,
it's like the engine just cuts out when it at a certain height. Like the instruments won't work anymore.
yeah, that sounds like it would be predicted, because the higher you go, the electromagnetic force and the radiation gets stronger, and it will start messing with the equipment, and so that makes a mechanical barrier for us. We can't get that high. you know.
And
And also,
do you think it's laid out flat, or do you think it comes down somehow?
yeah, I think it's all flat because it's a flat realm. So
Okay.
all these layers are all flat. I don't think it comes down at outside barrier of the outside of the Earth.
And
So
what are the realms? Do you think that is there any evidence of any other realms? Should I say?
yes, you wanted to talk about Agartha. So Agartha means gate, and etymology of it means gate. So when Admiral Byrd went through the hole in the earth, he was going through a gate, Agartha, a gate. And I don't think it was actually inside the earth where he was going. I think that he was confused about what he experienced.
Yeah,
And then he was going through a gate that went into another realm, like the earth, but just different.
yeah.
And the Nazis that were there, they called it Asgard. And if you know Norse pagan cosmology, Asgard is another realm. It's the realm of the gods,
Yeah,
and it's above ours on the Yggdrasil tree. I'm not sure if pronounced that correctly, but
but
um,
I know which one you mean.
so it's above us. And then when you talk about hell, Hel, that's the realm below us, and that's the lower vibrational creatures.
And so would things be denser in that realm? Like would things move slower? Would things
You know, I don't know about that.
how would you imagine that?
I just I'm not gonna imagine things like. I mean, there has to be some type of evidence, you know. So basically, everything I talk about has to have evidence behind it. I don't like to conjecture.
Have any conjecture at all?
I mean, I do have my own thoughts, but there has to be something, you know, providing its evidence of a suggestion. So
Yeah. So you know, I mean, yeah, I understand what you mean. Like, everybody has those thoughts in the mind, in their imagination, or whatnot. But you're not going to put something out there unless you've got some kind of evidence to back it up
yeah,
in that way.
because then you're just a kook. But everything I talk about has evidence behind it.
Okay. So, I mean, I've heard of Asgard and the realm of the gods. Um, so Agartha then is just a gate, and that leads to. Do you think it can lead to any realm, or just to like next door? I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's just that one, and that that hole is the gate anyway.
And
And
was this when this happened to Admiral Byrd? Did this happen in the North Pole?
yeah, on the North Pole,
So
the Nazis actually he was flying up there, and then the Nazis actually landed his plane um, autonomously, took over his plane, and he had you know, this is in like the 40s or the 20s or something. That was a long time ago, and they they actually took over his plane when they didn't have digital flight um, capabilities. It was all analog, you know. And they landed for him.
I'm listening. I'm just going to get a drink of water. But keep talking because I can hear you.
They landed for him, and then they told him about Asgard, and then then they went to Asgard, but they couldn't stay very long.
So, do you think? I mean, because there are some there is a diary that was said that, he wrote, and it was kind of turned into the Hollow Earth stuff. The, I don't know what I'm trying to ask you, but do you think, does it mention in those diaries that if he was asked to leave, or what did they say to, have you not read those diaries?
I didn't read his diary yet, but I want to. Just been busy.
Yeah, because it would be interesting, but I would always wonder how much you can trust, 'cause
Well,
I
he
just
was
take up
he
stories
was
in my diary.
he was a very respectable person. He had a very, I mean, he was an admiral of the U.S. Navy.
Yeah.
So these guys are highly respectable, and they have a lot of power. And Admiral Byrd, I think, was probably very, very credible.
Okay.
So if his diary is legitimate, then the story is most likely legitimate because of his respect, his credibility was great. When he went up to when he went to Antarctica for the first time, they gave him 19 naval ships to take with him.
Yeah, so he was a well-trusted man then.
Yeah, and he was in charge of the whole operation.
And how many times did he go back to Antarctica?
I think he went twice, and then he went to the North Pole.
So
they talked about some crazy shit when he went to Antarctica, the underwater lake, and I think there was a dome that they might have talked about too. But Lonnie found an article that talks about that they found in Antarctica that goes up 4,000 feet in the sky, and it's not like a firmament dome, but like an actual building.
okay, like a construct type thing.
Yeah, construct. Yeah.
So, who do they think that put that there?
I don't know.
Maybe that the people used to live in Antarctica, and it's some kind of,
Maybe.
we have the pyramids. Maybe Antarctica has.
Well, remember, Atlantis had domes that they built, so maybe these are left over from Atlantis, and maybe Atlantis is beyond the ice wall. We talk about the ice wall on flat Earth.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe it is. Maybe it's still there.
Yeah, maybe it is.
Maybe
we just don't know.
Maybe we were left behind by accident.
So we just want to be able to explore without them telling us not to,
Yeah, I agree. I think that we should be able to travel anywhere on this plane, and anywhere on this plane should be up for exploration, and we shouldn't need people's permission to go and do things, as long as we're respectful to the land and whatnot, and to each other. And
Yeah.
I don't think there's any need for people in guns telling you to step back and get behind the line. So
Yeah, so we can't go to the North Pole, we can't go to Antarctica. There's something really wrong with that.
that is, yeah. And
Would you agree?
yeah, absolutely. I think that's I can't understand why other people don't think that there's something really wrong with that. Like, people think that, oh, it's just for our own protection, it's too cold there, or whatever. It's like, nobody cares about us, Nobody's trying to protect us.
They're trying to protect the continent or the land,
Yeah,
because
they're protect.
Antarctica is the most guarded place on Earth. They have underwater microphones that will listen for ships and boats, um, and then they will find you before you can reach there. With the 19 different countries that their navy is guarding Antarctica, you know, and they're guarding it from us. They're not guarding it from other countries because they're all working together.
Yeah, they're all in it together. No, they're guarding it from us. They don't want us to go there. They don't want us to see what's there or what's past there. Um, so yeah, the amount of fishing vessels that get sunk in the southern oceans, close to the coastline of Antarctica is quite something. Like there's so many fishing boats that have accidents down there, and the amount, it's just not possible that they're all having accidents. They're being blown out of the water, in my opinion, anyway. Um, you're not allowed to get too close to somewhere. So
Well, that's pretty interesting. I've never heard about that.
if you if anybody wants to do this, research the Antarctic Treaty under different countries, information that's been released through the Freedom of Information Act. So there's not a lot of information. It's only the information that people have A, requested, and B, been bothered to upload to the internet. So it's quite scarce. But any country that goes down there, they have to have all this permission, and everything has to be documented. And so any fishing vessels, they all have to be documented and registered and all the rest of it. And yeah, there's quite a lot of fishing vessels that don't come back from the little trip to Antarctica. So
Yeah.
I think they're being sunk.
Yeah, so we're definitely being boxed in, you know.
Yeah, I felt that my whole life, though. To be fair, that we're being boxed in and we're not allowed to go places and do things. I hate the fact that we have to have birth certificates and passports, and that we have to register people's deaths and stuff. And like, I think there should be. You look like you're falling asleep, Darrell. I'll let you go in a minute.
Yeah, I'm just tired.
But yeah, I hate any kind of bureaucracy, because I think it's a waste of people's time and it's not necessary. And most of the time, it does more harm than good.
Well, that's basically they're all that's enslaving us because it gives us a corporation number, the tax ID number, their social security number, you know, and so that they can tax their corporation.
Yeah, so like, so like you are a corporation. So not you're not, but your person is, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you are the natural person, and then
Like you're
on paper you're a corporation.
and that's what they can tax.
Yeah, they can't tax you. That's why taxes are illegal, because they can't tax a natural person.
Yeah, can't tax a man. Just what they tax.
It's funny that they actually abide by these laws of nature. You know, like what is governing them if they can't do that? Have you thought about that?
Yeah, that's strange. No.
Because somebody's watching the watchers there. If you think about it.
Yeah, there has to be, like, because I mean, it can't be
Because
that they're just all getting together and having a laugh and thinking how they're going to screw us over next.
But they're actually abiding by somebody's rules.
Yeah, they're playing a game and sticking to somebody else's rules.
Because it's not their rules. They're sticking to somebody else's rules. And we don't know who they are. So we just say they.
Yeah, we say that a lot, don't we?
Yeah. So there was a funny thing on the movie Conspiracy Theory. I don't know if you've seen it. But he's like, and they do this, they do that. And then Julia Roberts says, who's they? Who they are. So we just say they. And if you talk about conspiracy theories a lot, you always say they, you know. It's funny.
But there's nothing else. There's no other word. You know?
Yeah, so that is direct evidence that there is somebody above these people. They have to trick us into paying taxes. They have to trick us into working as a slave for them. You know, we don't have to.
No.
We don't have to pay taxes. We don't have to work for them. We
No,
can
no,
live off the grid, you know, on our own.
I think once you've given your consent, you know, whether knowingly or unknowingly, then it's quite hard to then get out of that game they're playing with you. You know, they're always trying to get you back into that somehow. Like whether it's letters from the bailiffs or, you know, a court summons or a fine or whatever, they'll just keep hounding you until you respond to them, and then you're playing the game again. So,
Right.
I would love to get off the grid, get back to nature. You know, I just think people are so useless. You know, no one knows how to look after themselves. If the supermarket's shut tomorrow, then, you know, there'd be murders.
Yeah. Well, if that happened, I'd go out to nature, live in the nature.
Yeah, and I think some people are more equipped to survive in nature, and some people are more suited to it. And then you have other people that are almost allergic to nature, you know.
Well, that's because they're boxed up in their homes all day.
Yeah. Do you have anything else to say about flat Earth before I let you go?
Just if you had any questions.
I
You got my group, the Flat Earth versus Spherical group on Facebook, and then the my Electric Flat Earth Hypothesis Facebook page. Also, the YouTube channel that you can watch a couple of my videos on. The same name, under the same name, the Electric Flat Earth Hypothesis. And we got a couple hangouts, and there's over 5.5 hours of stuff there, so it's pretty cool.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I'll check it out. I've got a question for you, Darrell. Why have you never made me an admin in a flat? I can't even say it. I'm only joking.
I never thought about it really. I have a bunch of admins.
Why have you never thought about it? No, I'm just messing with you. I just think it's funny. Some people, I couldn't cope with the responsibility of being an admin, to be fair.
Well, okay, so I can sense like somebody that has the admin like personality, you know.
Oh yeah.
And you just seem like you want to do your own thing. You don't want to like deal with.
Yeah, I'm a quiet one.
Yeah, you don't want to deal with drama, right?
No, not at all. I'll occasionally give someone the finger, but that's it.
We have a lot of fun being admins. We have our own group chat that we do, and we talk about.
I'm feeling left out. That's not fair.
What's that?
I said now I'm feeling left out. You all have a group chat. That's not fair. No, I'm kidding.
But
But yeah, so it sounds like fun.
and then there's a lot of drama too,
Yeah.
because then we got people calling each other shills, and feelings get hurt, and people get taken one side over the other, all kinds of stuff like that. And he said, she said, it's silly.
Lots of screen capping going on.
Yeah, screen capping.
People doing their own data mining. It's crazy. But I just really glad that this thing has taken off when it has, because there was a period where I felt like I was losing my mind, and I couldn't speak to anybody. I just, I talked to my brother about flat Earth, and he'd just take the piss out of me, or I'd bore my husband to death, and then. So I am glad that there's been this momentum and this build up. I was just wondering, do you think that that's been a deliberate disclosure?
That has been what?
Do you think it was a deliberate disclosure, of the flat Earth information?
Um, it might have been, um, or it could have been started by somebody rolling a snowball down a hill,
Mm,
and it just kept on collecting more and more. So
yeah, because
back in 2003, Math Powerland was talking about the flat Earth on YouTube. So if you
yeah,
look on the internet, on Google, the Google Trends, flat Earth started spiking in 2003, spiking up a little bit, but now it's like growing exponential,
yeah.
4,000% in searches.
I mean, I never look at information like that. I don't check things like like that out. But I'm glad people do like you, because otherwise I wouldn't know. And it is interesting to know, because, like you say, someone just rolling a snowball down the hill. It, to me, it feels like I started the flat Earth movement. And like I'm not being like I seriously started the flat Earth movement. But when you start having those thoughts, you're having those thoughts every day. It, I do think that you are sending out some kind of signal, and then other people around you pick up on it. You know,
Yeah,
so
yeah. So, they did experiments on this same subject. So they'll have people in one country, like a class of people, like 30 people, and then they'll show them picture like a puzzle, and then they'll have to try to solve the puzzle, and then they'll have another 30 people in a different country, and then they'll show them the same puzzle, and then they won't solve it completely, and then they'll give one of them the answers, and then they'll see if they can, and then they'll see if the other class can solve it, just the knowledge of those people in the other country. And they actually got the information somehow through the ether,
yeah, that's crazy. I think I've seen a similar thing done with rats, like training rats in one country and then over in another country that develop those skills that these rats have been trained with. So yeah, there's something there. So
Oh, and we didn't talk about the boundaries of the flat Earth. See, I don't think there is a dome, so there's no, and I also think there's more land beyond Antarctica,
mhm,
with possibly more suns beyond it, suns and moon systems,
yeah,
in their own little puddles, and but near the end, if it does actually end, if it's not completely infinite, then there's a it goes into non-existence, like there's just nothing there. You can't fall off of it because there's nothing to fall off to. If you know what I mean.
Can you walk into it? Like, can you walk into being not non-existent?
No, I don't think you can. I think there would be some type of barrier, like a superfluid or something.
Yeah, like the ocean under the ocean type thing.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a really interesting thought. I also think what you said first about, you know, the other little puddles with the similar sun and moon and stars, that it could be like that.
Yeah.
Or that it could even be like concentric circles, you know, like we're right in the center, and then we've got a ring of ice containing us, and then there's more water with more land in a circle around that, and then another larger ring of ice. See what I mean? Then everything works on different wheels.
Yeah. Well, I think that it would just be in circles. Like here's a circle here, here's a circle here with the suns, because the suns they go like this, you know, and that's what melts the ice is the suns. But there's more to it than just the sun. I mean, there's the electromagnetic field that is around our living space, you know. And so we got the electromagnetic field, we got the sun and the moon, and then we have the atmosphere. But I think the atmosphere keeps on going. Oh yeah, the evidence I was telling you about that there is no dome is that Samuel Robold, Earth Not a Globe, talks about the pressure differential of the atmosphere, air pressure in the north and in the south. The south is actually lower than the pressure in the north. So if you think about like a pressurized system, like a dome,
Mm-hmm.
then you can't have this differential near the outside, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think why not though. So you've got the dome. I'll work it out in my head.
So you have the dome. It's like think about it like a pressurized pop can.
Yeah,
Um, anywhere you measure the pressure on the inside of that pop can is going to be the same.
yeah, it's going to be the same in all directions.
Yeah. So this pressure is caused by the sun and pushing down on the atmosphere.
And Samuel Rowbottom recorded in his book that the pressure is lower
In the Antarctic.
in Antarctic.
So the reason why that is because the sun is scarce in the Antarctic,
Mm.
and the sun is more prevalent in the north because we have the sun there and not in the Antarctic. I mean, not as much, you know. There's 4 months of night or twilight in the Antarctic.
The Antarctic. Now that just one last thing, and then I will let you go. I promise. Because there's been a lot of debate just over the last few days on whether there is a 24-hour daylight in Antarctica, like there is in the north. In the north. Like,
Well, if you think about it, there is, because the Antarctica is a circle, and then the sun is like in the southern summer, the sun is near the outside of the Earth, right?
Yeah.
Than it is in the center. Like in this northern, we're in summer now, so the sun is closer to the inside, going like this. But in the south summer, it's like this. So the sun is always going to be in Antarctica somewhere, but not on the entire continent, if that makes sense, because it's all the way around.
And so, yeah, that makes sense to me. Okay,
You're
so
cutting out.
yeah, we've really talked about a lot. So I want to just say thank you for hanging out with me and giving me your time and your views on things, because it's been a really interesting chat. I've made lots of notes. Trying to see them. They're all the notes I've made since we've been talking.
And doodling.
That's just how my head works. I'm very erratic. I've got like things upside down and the wrong way around. So yeah. So I'll let you go, and I'll catch up soon. Thank you very much.
All right. Well, it was good to talk to you and see you, and I had fun. So, and thanks for the hangout.
Yeah, you're welcome. High five. Go and get some
We'll do it.
sleep.
We'll do it some other time. Maybe I'll take a nap in a little bit or something. But
Yeah, you need to.
we're just gonna drink coffee.
So.
All right. Well, have a good one.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye.